Tonight we're going to have our panel discussion, and please give grace. This is my first time hosting any kind of a podcast, um, but I want to talk about the subject of tonight's questions and our panel is those things that we don't really talk about enough. Is what leadership looks like when nobody is watching you, because it's so easy now, like to virtue signal, to put the frame around your Facebook picture, to wear a ribbon, or any of the other things that say you know I'm one of the good guys. But what does it look like to be a leader, to be a queen, when it's inconvenient and when it's hard? So just want to say thank you tonight to the panelists who are joining me, who I know are going to make this the softest landing ever for my first time. And who are going to give me grace when we go for this. So thank you all, your ladies, for being here tonight. I understand, we're a little bit off schedule, but we're all doing the thing tonight. So does anybody, so I don't know who's like prepared. Do you want me to just kind of like jump in with some of these questions? I was actually thinking I would love to change the format a little bit tonight so that we're not all going to answer the same questions unless you are so inspired or moved by what somebody says that you want to like kind of jump in. I always feel like there's so much magic in our conversations that sometimes happen outside of the strict kind of question and answer portion of our show. So I would love for you guys to kind of like weigh in on each other's things. Unfortunately for her, I'm probably going to pick on Lee first to get us started tonight. Yep, you're number one. And, to talk about, because we're going to talk about, some ideas about like leadership and integrity and, all of that. So, Lee, you ready?
No, yes.
All right. So, my question for you, and by the way, I would like to point out that you are the only person who picked your own questions. So, these are questions you should have at least been thinking about a little bit. But what expectations of leadership have you had to unlearn as a woman?
I had to unlearn that leadership looks a certain way. I mean, growing up, I think most of the leadership that I saw came from church and women in the church. And I'm from the South, so there was a lot of misogyny surrounding how those women showed up in their leadership roles. So, yeah, I had to learn that it wasn't always going to be polished, because we all know that I'm definitely not the polished one. Um, that it wasn't always going to come from a quiet place, because again, the women that I saw as leaders when I was young were women that their husbands told them how to think and where to go and what to do. So I had to unlearn being quiet. I had to unlearn that everyone deserves my respect. I felt like just because they were older than me, I owed them my respect. But then I quickly learned that being able to you know be respectful to me also meant that you deserved that respect, that you couldn't be disrespectful to me as well, right? So as a woman, you know, especially a queer woman, I feel like that the tone it down, that women lead from this level but not this level. And I think that's the big thing that I've had to unlearn, that the script that I was given was not the script that was mine.
I love that. Like all about finding your own words. That's beautiful. Miss Michelle, um, why do you think that so many of us confuse visibility with value?
I think that that's what it's shown. I mean, that's what's pushed on us. Really, that's just what you sort of see. Often, it's like you can be saying something, and then someone else is just like, they're very fly, and, and people are gravitate to them, even though you might be saying the same thing. So I think that sometimes that gets get caught up, and people are worried about, well, how do I present? How am I going to show up? How am I going to look at me? Look at me! Look at me! It's not look at me. It's hear me. Let me hear you. Talk to me. Let me hear you. And let's have a dialogue. But I think that we do get sort of caught up in look at me, look at me, look at me. And I was sort of way back, way back in the day when I was just sort of starting to try and get out there and doing it. And I asked someone, it's like, it's like, I said the exact same thing as she did. Why? And an older gentleman who was colorful. He said, well, baby, don't worry about it. He said, say what you've got to say because anything that's fly will catch a hose eye. you know, and he said, and I said, like, oh, he said, but it's not going to last. Say what you have to say because words matter and people will hear it in your sincerity and what you have to do. But we are conditioned to go like, wow, who's flashy, who's this and that. And if they're really visible and if you see them on each and everything, each and every time, somehow or other, you think they're more valuable.
I agree with that. I think that's a great point that you you see it's that everything's visual first, right? Oh, she must be important because she looks like this. So she's more important than someone that's over here whose words are better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's it's a great
Yeah,
analogy.
I agree. I'm like writing down notes because I love that what you're talking about. So it's not look at me, it's hear me, right? Like it's listen to me, it's see me. You know, um, I feel like that was kind of like what you were saying, and I agree with you. I think it is kind of like pushed on us societally that people who get visibility like are important by default. It's kind of the like the little bit of a conundrum, right? Like when you're successful, you must be good and you must be like better than people who are less successful, which is not, as we all know, not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all understand the part that luck and who can play in success. So, all right, Miss Kenesha. Um, Hopefully, this is not too hard. This is a little bit of a long one, but when you think about courage, what does it feel like in your body? And what does it sound like or look like in your life right now?
Oh,
Oh, you're muted. We could hear you. I can't hear you now. Let's see.
Hold on.
no, now
Can
we
you
got
hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I was muted. I was muted. Okay. So when I think of courage, what does it feel like in my body? And the last part was,
What does it sound like or look like in your life right now?
and what does it sound like or look like in my life right now? When I think of courage and what does it feel like in my body? When I think of courage and what it feels like in my body is courage feels like strength, courage feels like hope, courage feels like empowerment, courage feels fierce, courage feels like love, self love. Courage feels like just an abundance of growth and push and drive and purpose in my body. And I say that because with all the health issues that I battle on a daily basis, I need courage every day to step out in life to do what I need to do. I need courage to walk every morning because I'm afraid of the pain. I need
mm,
courage to eat because I'm afraid of the how my body's going to react. I need courage to talk even now because what a lot of people don't realize is with my fibromyalgia, I slur my words a lot. I can be forgetful. So that takes courage for me to be on here. That's that strength that I have to say, forget it, I got it, I'm good. That's the hope that I have to be able to conquer those things, to be able to push through and show others that it is okay. Um, Courage to me really does mean a lot to me because in order to live my daily life, I have to push through. And how am I dealing with it today? Was that my second part of my question?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I kind of answered that. I deal with it by pushing through So how I deal with it with pushing through is a mental health thing for me, and I'm really big on loving on myself. And I made sure that I stepped back a little while ago to tell myself that I come first. I literally just spoke on this earlier in an interview. I'm a firm believer that self love is selfish. And in order for me to do things and be courageous within my life, I have to be selfish with myself so I can continue to push through with my daily living to get through the things that I need to get through. I can't write without the courage to me to push through. I can't talk without the courage for me to push through. I can't eat without the courage for me to push through. I can't run this campaign without me to have the courage to push through. With all of those things that I feel that it means to me with hope, empowerment, self love, and just to push through and just guide myself to be the best that I can be. And I love showing with courage. I can honestly say, as a mentor, with courage, with the courage that I have, I love being able to show that to the youth, that I am still pushing through and that I am still making it and that I am still going day by day, regardless of how it looks on the outside, I'm still here.
I love that. I mean, and that's really kind of like the gist of what I wanted to kind of get at with these questions is like what comes to mind when you hear like when you're talking about leading beyond the spotlight. So like having the courage to wake up every day and push through and be visible in your struggle, like because you're open about that. Like, you know, we all know that, and I assume like we're not the only ones who understand like what you battle with every day getting up. To just live a normal looking life, and then on top of that like your community leadership and advocacy. So
I have a question for Miss Kanisha. So, because I battle with this, like taking the time to, give myself space or to say, I can't do something because today my body's not letting me, or my mind, for me, it's my mind gets away with me or gives those intrusive thoughts. How do you push past that? Oh, because you were like, sometimes I feel like I have to, it's okay to be selfish for the things that's going to help me persevere. How do you get through that? Like, how does that feel for you to say, I'm going to be a little selfish today without feeling guilty after you feel selfish, right? So, you know,
One of the things that I could say is fibromyalgia is very misunderstood. So, being in pain 24/7 all day, every day, from head to toe, 24/7, 365, that no one else can see but me because it's my central nervous system. And then battling Crohn's on the outside, and I mean, on the inside as well. So, those two together, I always describe as, when you were little and you had the bubble guts, when you were going to an event and then you had to go to the bathroom, right? So I have fibromyalgia, my central nervous system, and then I have Crohn's disease, right, which is my intestines. So when you realize that regardless, those things aren't going away, um, I always say, I'm going to hurt anyway, right? So why not hurt for a purpose? I'm normally gonna lay in the bed and this I used to live this life of people thinking that I was lazy because I would lay in the bed and just not lazy. I was in pain. I was trying to understand these new conditions of actually what was going on. Why am I going through the pain that I'm going through? I told myself, if I'm going to be in pain, I'm going to be in pain for a reason. I'm just not going to be in pain because I'm laying in the bed. I'm just not going to be in pain because I'm just going to complain. And granted, it's okay to complain. I know sometimes they say everybody doesn't want to hear it, but it's easier for me to do and give me a reason to say I'm in pain than just say I'm in pain by laying in the bed. And it's a lot to do with your mental health. And it took me a while to get that way because being on 22 pills a day for almost 10 years of my life, and when people look at me, I look perfectly fine. But on the inside, I'm struggling. I had to realize that those outside people don't matter because I was judged for what I do. I would always hear things like, "You're in pain all the time." Yes. You hurt right now? Yes. Like, really? Everywhere? Yes, everywhere. So why are you doing this? Because I can. Like, why can I not? I had to realize, why can I not do these things? And I'm not saying people who are in pain have to do things, but when you get into a mental mind state of, this is my life, I know this is what I'm going through. And I'm a firm advocate of advocating for your health when it goes to the doctor or doing things for yourself anyway, even in life. So if you don't feel like doing it, don't do it, because I definitely have my days, but I push through every day with a purpose, and my purpose is myself. So I got to be here for me. There's no me without me. So I'm going to do it anyway. I pushed through with a purpose. I had to literally realize self-love meant a lot to me. And I had to find that really, really deep inside of me, because I am still in shock, Leah, by sometimes some of the things that I do. I literally leg press 680 pounds when my legs are my biggest issue. So being grateful to love on myself and tell myself that I can do these things. And if I'm going to hurt from doing 680-pound leg press, at least I'm hurting because I know my legs are going to look good. That's just how I operate. I'm a firm believer in loving on myself, and I tell other people to do that as well in their health. Find within yourself and what your purpose is. And my purpose is.
I love that.
Or, too, I think that one of the things too is like courage is about, part of it is being scared and seeing fear, but riding that wave. It's like, what if this is what I'm supposed to do? Like Kanisha said, this is what I got to get up and I've got to do. So yeah, it's I might fall on my face. I might do this. Your legs might give out, but it's like grabbing that wave. Taking that fear, that being scared, and riding that wave to live your purpose. Knowing that the wave will go up and go down and everything, but you're here. And it's all part of, you see the wave go up and go down, but it's not gone, because the wave started as a raindrop in the sky that came down into the lake, that then became a wave that crested and maybe went down, but then you're back up there again. So it's like grabbing that fear, and you have to acknowledge it. Shit, this stuff is hard. I've got to grab it, but I have purpose.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
totally agree.
100%. Like, and I think I feel like that what all of you kind of said was that, courage isn't the absence of fear, right? It's action in spite of fear.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate that Kanisha was just like, nope, no guilt, no thank you. Like, if I'm gonna feel like how I feel, I'm gonna give myself permission to just let that piece go. So I love that. All right, I want to talk a little bit now about like kind of that image versus impact and unpacking like performative empowerment. So I'm gonna start with Miss Michelle. What is one lie about leadership that you've stopped believing?
You know what? I don't think that there was any lie that hello, this is Pancake. I don't think that there's any lie that I really believed. I just sort of, I looked at it and formed my own opinion about it. People lead. I've been fortunate to see people lead in different ways. And so, I don't think that there's any one way that you're supposed to try to pick up from everybody what you can learn from them. But as I say, to thine own self be true. And as you're true to yourself, that's how you're going to lead. People will resonate with that. But I can't lead like you can, Ariel. I can't lead like Kanisha does. I can't lead like Lee. I can only lead like Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good with it.
I love that.
And Pancake is too.
I'll bet. I mean, because trust me, cats know how to lead. Anybody who thinks they don't has never had one. All right. Kanisha, when have you caught yourself trying to meet someone else's idea of strength or success, whichever one you feel like is more resonant with you?
When have I ever caught myself trying to meet someone else's strength or success? Never. And I'm just being real, because I don't want to be like nobody else. I don't want to have the success of anybody else. My strength is my strength, and the strength that I realize, I always say I've met the strongest woman that I ever know, because everything that I go through is, woo, man, listen, and everything that I've ever been through, somebody else's success. Nah, I want my own. My struggles are my own, and the success that I want is the success I want. I have my own path, and I'm just being real. I have my own path. I have my own. My road is my road, and my path is my path. I don't want your path. I don't want your success. And if the way you got your money, we or the way that you got your lifestyle, or the way that you got your your successes and your attributes and your accolades, that may not be how I want to get mine. I may take some tips and trips from you, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
never. No, no,
I
not
love
me.
that. I mean, I wish, I'll be honest with you, because I caught myself trying to like kind of meet, I guess I would say standard ideas of what other people think of as
Hmm.
success, and what does that look like? I think especially for me, um, and where and how I grew up, it looked like trying to have it all, right? Like it looked like having the family and the job and like, but not just the job, a career and the education and, checking all the boxes off and then being successful and excellent at all the things equally all the time. Um, and that's hard, right? Like for me,
Well,
it was so hard.
speaking,
Go ahead.
sorry, speaking of what you just said, I guess, like speaking of it because it goes in the back of my mind. I would guess I would say, when it comes to that particular situation, would be my past relationship, the expectation of you need to have a family, to be together with the father, that kind of thing. Other than that, never. Never. I realized that I don't need that, and I'm perfectly fine. So it just confirmed, yeah. Other than that, nah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but almost all the women I know who are like trailblazers let go of some of that at some point in their life. They're just like, you know what, whatever everybody else is trying to do, I'm not trying to do that. Like that's not
Mm-mm.
for me. If that is supposed to be mine, then it will come to me. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna actively pursue it because
Mm-mm.
it's what success looks like. You know what I
No.
mean?
Exactly. That's not, the society has the norms, right?
Hmm.
These norms that how people should be, how relationships should be, how life should be. You know what I mean? And it's just like that's not everybody's lifestyle. That's not how everybody lives. Everybody's not built the same way. And to be able, and one thing that I do teach my mentees is, you don't got to be like nobody else. Like you don't have to dress like her. You don't have to have wear your hair. You may like it, but you don't got to be like her. You don't have to ever be someone else or try to strive to be like someone else. You may have someone who could be a mentor or someone you look up to, but never strive to be like anybody else. I preach that to my babies. You don't have to be like anybody else. Like why? Be you. That's the uniqueness we need in our community. I don't want to be like Ariel. I don't want to be like Miss Michelle, and I don't want to be like me. I want to be Kenesha, point blank, period. And there ain't no changing that.
I know that's the kind of a lesson I try to like when I'm doing like youth programming, to
Mm-hmm.
kind of because I do think kids especially like I mean it's developmentally appropriate that teenagers be kind of going with the flow of the crowds of people their own age, right? But you really need
Mm-hmm.
to understand like okay, you need to find what's right for you and not be holding yourself to the standard of your largest group of friends or the what most people are doing and all of that kind of thing. And I know it sounds crazy to teenagers, but it's like just find
Mm-hmm.
you and then do that really really well. um,
Mm-hmm.
And
but
Agreed.
I think too, like when people think about leadership and like there's mentors, right? So let's say that, I don't know, Helen Mirren, you want to be an actress, and you're like, I want to be an actress as famous as Helen Mirren. Okay. And you can read her biography, how she did it, how she made it, how she had to work it. But how do you do that where you're you? Like
Mm-hmm.
we need those Jim Carreys. We need those Angela Davis. We need those people being who they are,
Mm-hmm.
leading the way that they lead. So how do you, you can mimic things that they do, but how do you do it in your
mhm.
authentic voice too? So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Which
always a big thing as well.
But it's always good to remember, because often, like, I'll be talking to someone, and I said, you know what? At one point, I too was a teenager, and I
Mm-hmm.
did crazy, stupid things, I mean, because in fact, I was reading some of my stuff once, and it was like, and my mother was there, and they were talking, you did that, and my mother said, "Shh." But you know what? We didn't get to be to that point, like wake up, oh, well, here I am. We were teenagers. You made mistake. You followed the crowd, but eventually, as you mature and you grow up, you
Mhm.
find your own way. There'll still be some things that might be similar to the rest of them, but to always remember, I might wake up this way, but I was not born this way. I had to grow
Mhm.
into being this Michelle.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so sometimes I think that that's important, because I know sometimes that I'll see people who are talking, particularly the young people, and it's like, oh, come on, you did that back in the day. Don't tell me you never got drunk. And they're like, and the people, and they'll say, I don't want the kids to know that. Why not? You're human,
Right.
and they have to know that this is all part of the growing process, and they will become themselves.
Relatability, Miss Michelle. Relatability. Some of these children need people who are relatable. That's why they don't want to listen. Some of these youth, they're not going to listen to the guy who comes in with a button up and a tie, and
Mhm.
he's just all prim and proper. And I mean, some will, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, but they want to see the guy who makes success, who comes in with the hoodie and the baseball cap and the beanie and the boots and and the sneakers they wear. Somebody who looks down to earth, like down to earth to them, wearing sweats. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying we always have to dress like that in certain rooms, but when you come in to deal with the youth, you don't always have to come dressed up. Like, they want relatability, and that's exactly what you were speaking of, Miss
Mhm.
Michelle. The relatability, like it's about being relatable, and speaking of those things sometimes is okay. So people know that they have someone that they can speak to because it's relatable to them, and they can go, okay, been through that, and look where they are now. So let me try to, I can do it too.
Mhm.
Facts. I mean, I love that, and I think I used to do that. Like, I think when I felt like I had conversations with my mother as an adult where I realized I do not know that woman. Like, and I really actually I kind of like I was like, that's crazy. Like, you feel like you spend all this time, but I guess, from her generation, that you didn't really talk to your kids about you and who you are. So like I kind of met my mom all over again as an adult person, relating to her as an adult person. Um, and I think that made me want to have a slightly different. So I'm a little bit more open with my kids. I mean, obviously we try to be appropriate, right? But to say, yeah, oh my god, when I was a teenager I snuck out of the house and I was unsafe with myself, and maybe if I could have talked to my mom about that, I would have done different things because I was going to do the thing whether I had the permission and the safety rails that parents give you to do those things. But yeah, I think and my kids were like, what? I was like, yeah, man, I had piercings, I have tattoos, I snuck out, I drank, like I did the thing, I did all the things. You don't have to do them, I got you. Like, check all the boxes off. I did the things, and so you're also not going to get away with it. We should just talk about it. But I do think that that's really important, and I also think that being your authentic self and how you show up with people, it really does. It's like that's another kind of leadership, isn't it? Though, like to be able um, to just be like, here's who I am, and and here's I'm still standing in the front. Like, I'm literally in a hoodie right now. So like, it is what it is. Like, when we talk about relatability, I figured y'all would have grace with me. It's 8 o'clock at night. I've been at work since first thing this morning, and I have never not had a meeting all day today. So those work clothes had to go. All right, I got a question for Lee. Um, Lee, have social media and branding helped or hurt authentic leadership for women?
Both. I think you have those keyboard warriors who say things they shouldn't say because they can't back them up. And then I also think that it gave a platform, especially to the BIPOC community, having a platform that people and LGBTQ, because we didn't really have platforms to step onto. There was platforms at church or maybe at a civic center, but not a platform where someone that looks like me would be able to hear and see how it relates to people who are not like me. So I think that, yeah, it definitely gave rise to storytelling and how we can show up on any social media platform. And TikTok's been really great, right? Because I don't know how many times I go on TikTok now where you see like a group of African American women who are in this protest thing that they're doing, that they're like, hey, I know it's crazy, a group of black women, but if you want to be friends with someone that looks like me and get to know my culture, hit like and subscribe or something like that, right? And so it makes you want to follow to see what's going on in their lives. So I think, yeah, it gave a platform to women. It gave us a way to lead by example online, in both a good and a bad way. You know, you got Karens on there who are constantly going, you know, these people need to stay in their lane and these people need to stay in their lane. But I think that good, the ability to be able to story tell and get that authenticity out in yourself when you're having these conversations. This podcast is a platform in social media for us to be able to sit down and talk about our stories, our lives, our practices, what we do, how we show up. I mean, I'm learning so much about fibromyalgia right now and about Kanisha's medical conditions from a standpoint where it's someone who's having lived experience. And when she's talking, I'm like, oh, I have a friend that deals with this. And I definitely, make sure that she knows that we're having the podcast so she can listen to Kanisha, because I think Kanisha's lived experiences will help her with what she's going through right now. So visibility is definitely powerful. It's not the same as value. I just want that to be like a thing. You can be visible and have no value. Um, and I don't think that likes equal leadership. So you don't have to have a million people following you to be a leader, as long as the one person catches what you're saying and actually like learn something from it. So yeah.
You know, when you brought up, and I think that this is a thing I find that the branding, particularly in, I would say, in the lesbian community, that it has started to be, which one sometimes, which I find troubling, it has become very heteronormative. Like, oh, you have to be either femme or you have to be stud. And it's like, whoa, wait, when I was talking to someone who said, that you don't really look like you're gay. And I'm going, what does that mean?
What?
What does that mean? Or what does it mean? And, well, the branding, well, some people are so quick to brand that, well, I'm a stud and I do this, that, and the other. And that they come up with these roles that people are supposed to be, as opposed to it being, well, aren't we women who love women? And
Yeah.
however you express it, it's all right. But I think that branding, and the thing is, not only do we find our branding within our community, but then others who look at the LGBT community, who meet lesbians, they expect us to be A or B,
Yeah.
and we are the whole frigging alphabet. I
Right.
don't think it's a two-lane highway. It's like a super highway. We've got multiple lanes and doing all that. So sometimes I think the social media branding can be harsh and can
Can.
really set us up to be divisive within our community. It's like, oh, well, everybody wants to get married and wear a big white dress. No, or I have to fix the car. I can fix a car. I mean, you have to look a certain way. So sometimes I think that the
Facts.
social media branding
Hmm.
can be
It it's
detrimental.
it sucks because I'm 54, and I remember as a teenager that, like, I had this older lesbian that kind of took me under her wing, and she was like, "Okay, so this is how it works. We got, lipstick lesbians, femmes. We got, butch. We have dyke. And in the middle are these kiki people. They were kiki. This is before the song Let's Have a Kiki came out. Um, but kiki was like
What are they?
passing, right? They passing was the kiki people. And I just always like thought that it was so weird that we had labeled each other like that. And then butches dated femmes and dykes dated lipstick lesbians, and the kikis were with kikis, and nobody knew they were gay. So I always thought that that was odd when I was younger, and then I was so happy when we moved out of that. We moved, like, in my 20s, and in my 30s we moved into this. We don't have to be butch or femme. We're just women that love women. But because now we see the oppression coming back in the LGBTQ community. I mean, here we are again in 4 days. Our rights can be taken away yet
Mhm.
again. Like, why every 4 years do I have to worry about whether or not I can marry the person I love or be gay? Or do I now have to become heteronormative in order to get a job or to go to the grocery store? So I see that branding going away from we're just women who love women, quit pigeonholing us, back to this. I got to be a man and she's got to be a woman, and we have to try and make this look as normal as possible so that people don't hurt us. And I hate that we're moving back to that. But you're right, the branding that you're seeing in the LGBTQ community right now, in the women, the men don't care,
No,
but
no.
in the
Hmm.
women, like, we're trying to survive. And so that survival instinct in us is, let's just try and look as much of the part as we can so that people don't bash us. So it sucks. It really sucks.
I got y'all know I'm always gonna ask questions because I'm trying to learn, be the best person I can. So what's a kiki?
Kiki is passing. So technically, if you look at me, Ariel, and Miss Michelle, one of us looks gay, and the other two don't look like they belong to the LGBTQ
I
mob.
can't help myself, Lee. I can't help myself.
Just saying. Just saying. They're kiki. They're passing. Nobody knows. They think they're with men, but if they're walking with me, all of a sudden they went from being kiki to, oh, that's the man and that's the woman.
Hmm.
So okay, so a kiki is someone who can pass as someone who doesn't look like they're part of the
The
LGBT.
stereotype. Hmm.
Okay. I didn't know that. So y'all know that song that Kiki, does that have anything
Let's
to do
have
with
a
that?
kiki. They're just saying let's have a party.
Uh,
Hmm.
oh, okay. I'm
So I
learning.
want to kind of like I want to ask them I want to ask a follow-up question. So I hadn't really thought about that question as we like when we talk about the branding and how it kind of like pigeonholes. So do we feel
Mm.
like then like all of this pigeonholing that's happening with women as far as like branding when we think about like the trad wives and like and then on the opposite side all of these like kind of like bad moms, you know what I mean, like that the like I'm a whole human person who is doing my best kind of vibe that you see on social media where it's like do we feel like those kinds of things are also as kind of inherently harmful as the kind of going back into all of these different little boxes that like apply, I guess, more specifically to the lesbian community?
Hmm.
I think that there's a thing too. I think that it you see it in the lesbian community, but you also see it in the women's community. It's like, okay, well, to be pretty, you have to have eyelashes out to here, and somebody's somebody's hair grown in. Hey, and if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But how many you find that there's this look, there's this look, and oh, well, she's pretty, she's feminine, she's desirable.
Hmm.
And I think that women in general, they tend to want to put women in general into boxes. And I think that where it happened with the lesbian thing, it's like, for some reason, rather than saying free at last, it's like, well, how do we act like we're straight? Well, no, we're not. But women, they have this look that you're supposed to have. You know, you're supposed to have. When Jada Pinkett went bald, cut off all her hair, it's like, mm, they had to get with that, because that wasn't their idea of feminine. So I think that labels for women and that look that you're supposed to have, I mean, it's still there. And if anything, I see more of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I love that. Anybody? Okay, cool. All right. So let's dive into some like everyday courage moments. So, Kanisha, can you tell us about a time that you chose courage over comfort, um, even when it might have cost you something? So, I mean, I know you kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, like when you're literally talking about your like physical like discomfort, but maybe like I mean, I guess like when it was maybe emotionally uncomfortable to
Courage over
courageous.
comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Courage over comfort in my emotional space. Let's see. Courage over comfort. Let's see. Emotionally. Um, so when we speak of like when we were just speaking of what you're supposed to look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't look sick, right? So I don't look like how that I speak. So the courage when I was dying, going through my Crohn's flare, um, years ago, and I was losing weight drastically. Um, you could literally start to see my bones and stuff and things of that nature, and like because I was losing weight, I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking, and nothing was staying in. When I tried courage over comfort, I still went to work, still took care of my kids. For me, what I mean by courage over comfort and emotional, what it looks like to people, I looked sick. I literally looked sick. You can see my collarbones, you can see the like I hate it when someone can tell that I'm sick, right? So emotionally, I had to get over the fact, like I said, me personally, that I had to go to work. So you're going to see me that way. You were going to see me in that vulnerable state. You were going to see everybody saw me lose weight. Emotionally, it sounds physical, but mentally, when you're walking around and you look sick, because now I look sick, right? Because I didn't before. Now I look sick. Emotionally and mentally, I had to deal with the fact that I look sick to people in society. So someone was always asking me, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" In front of my nieces and nephews one time, I just in my own kids, I barely was walking and it was just tired. Emotionally, that's not me. I hate looking sick. Like I have this habit. I don't know if you probably wouldn't realize what I'm doing, but I realize I do it and why. I always try to make sure, and I'm getting better, that I do like this because emotionally my face has gotten smaller so you can see those things. So me, I'm trying to get over that. But if I cover my face, right, you don't get to see how small and slender my face is. But I'm learning. Like I tell people, I have my own thing. So emotionally, I deal with trying to, even till today, I realize I still do it, trying to make sure that I don't look sick because society can tell that I'm sick when I look that way. We were talking about looks and the norms. Um, that was one of my when I was dying was one of the worst times. Like you could just see the saggy skin and then dealing with that emotionally after after battling the hell out of my Crohn's disease flare. I beat that. I'm not gonna sit here. I'm gonna use a little bit of cuss words. I beat that shit. I did my thing, and I'm here right now and pumping 600, doing 680 leg presses and 330. You know, like different things like squats and stuff like that. Like I'm proud of myself. I don't look sick in certain areas, but emotionally battling the fact that I don't look sick is a thing for me, and I still kind of battle with that every day because I still try to cover my face. Or in certain pictures, you'll see me cover my face. Or hold on, wait. Sometimes I got to catch myself. I don't want to look sick, so I like try to cover my face so you don't see like the the slenderness of my face. So still kind of battle with that today, but I'm kind of a lot better.
Well, congratulations. I love that for you. I mean, I agree with you. I definitely see the immediate emotional toll that, because even like, I feel like anytime when you have to have a conversation about a thing, like over and over and over again, like it's emotionally draining, right? Like, and it's one thing when you're choosing to have that conversation, right? But completely another when for whatever reasons you can't avoid it, and now you know it's going to be
Hmm.
like, that's just one more thing you're gonna have to deal with. Is and like you're already like you're dealing with it on yourself, like every time you pass a mirror or a reflective surface and you're feeling how you feel about how you look. And I feel like that's for kind of anybody, but like certainly in that situation where you look sick. um that's why first off I'm always like, I always just make it a point, I think, because I try not to be like ableist in this specific way, but all weight loss is not good weight loss. To be like, oh my God, you look great, like as soon as somebody starts losing weight, because that's it, like weight loss is really not ever an indicator of good health. But if it's intentional, then good on you for your effort. But like I'm always like trying to be aware of that. But I absolutely can see how that would have been so hard. So kudos to you for keeping on.
Thank
And
you.
by the way, all women are always like, you see me, I'm like messing, I'm like looking, I was like, okay, so there's a little bit of fuzziness. I thought I had tightened that up.
Hmm.
No, like, that's what we do. It's all right.
Hmm.
We're gonna give each other grace here.
Yeah, like, yeah, thank you, because I find myself constantly trying to frame my face because it's smaller,
That's
so you
me.
can
It's
see
well,
it.
it's the opposite for me. It's my face is so fat, like, and I'm like, so if I have the right amount of hair, like, yeah, and
Yeah.
lean forward. So
Hmm.
no, we all do that. You're good. All right. Cool. Lee, whose courage has inspired you lately, and what did you learn from watching them?
I was muted.
You were.
I don't know what's up with you and Miss Michelle and all these hard questions. Did y'all get together? I don't understand.
Sorry, I had to.
Um, but Kanisha, am I wrong? I mean, I feel like Miss
Listen,
Michelle last
me, I'm gonna
time, and
high
now,
five you because they've been tripping.
right? Yeah, because I'm like, wow. So, um, I think that lately, I think, okay, we try not to be all political or anything, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think right now I am deeply inspired by the Black women in Congress and in the Senate, and the fact that they are saying the words all of us want to hear because it's what we feel. So they're speaking the truth of Americans, like the majority of Americans. We want to feel safe. We want to feel peace. We want, all of those things. We don't want to have to feel like that if we get a raise, if minimum wage goes to $15 an hour, that our groceries are going to exponential. What is exactly what they did? Everything, the cost of living, the grocery store any more money to get that food in, and it didn't cost the landlord any more money just because I got a raise. You know what I'm saying? So to see these things, and so I think that these are people. So like Corey Bush, Ayanna Presley, Stacey Abrams. I think that they're in the rooms that we can't be in, speaking women's truths. and then our family's truths, right? Because they're not only speaking for us, but they're speaking for our families and for us as well. So um, I, they don't they I like that they're trying to be the loudest voice in the room because I would want to be the loudest voice in the room. And I feel like that they're screaming for my injustices. And one thing that they do that I probably wouldn't do is their voice doesn't shake when they do it. And I think if I was in there, my voice would be shaky and I would be nervous. I think that they are unflinching and they are unapologetically fighting for me. So, and I also think that they are both courageous and compassionate at the same time. One thing that I've learned from Ariel is two things can be right at the same time. You can be compassionate and courageous at the same time. And they are. So they are fighting those systems of inequity and hatred, bitterness right now that if I could make those voices, if I could stand up in those rooms, they're doing that for me. So yeah, that those are who are inspiring me right now and why.
Okay, preach on it. Um, I mean, no, I agree. That's a good one. Yeah, I don't know. I've been really more inspired by like a million smaller things, like, all of you guys, like, and the stories that you share, and then, in rooms that I'm in with women kind of standing up for each other and figuring out how to support each other, and communities standing up for each other. Like, I've been living for like the social media that's showing me like, here's how we're gonna make dollar store, meals for Thanksgiving, and how we're gonna like set people up with pantries, and like individual like humans, like creating food pantries from their own money and their own property, so that the people in their communities don't go hungry as all of these other changes happen. And like really how the community is like kind of stepping up has been really inspiring to me recently. um, Seeing how really when the chips are down, and it was kind of like a thing I felt like I saw a lot when COVID, that as a whole we are kind to each other, we care about each other, and we do our best to lift each other up when we're down. I think it makes me sad sometimes how far down people have to be before you notice it. And of course, not everybody is going to, extend their hand out like we would love them to. But it's those moments that have really been like helping me like keep putting one foot in front of the other every day. Because I feel like it's bleak out here sometimes. So,
Oh, yeah, Halloween. I really, this past Halloween, one of the things that I thought was really neat that I saw on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram is people were not only giving the children like candy, but they were passing out potatoes,
Mm-hmm.
ramen noodles, canned food, and they just had it like sitting there, and they were like, "Mom, if you need to take something, here's a bag, fill it up with stuff." And I thought that was really neat too, that you can see that compassion that still exists. And I want to say this as loudly and proudly as I can. In historically excluded communities where there's already a disadvantage, opening up their pantries to their neighbors.
Mhm.
That I thought was like so amazing and so inspiring this past weekend.
Well, because not because your name is Michelle, although we Michelles are fabulous. I think that I see all the stuff that's going on, but I want to say that when Michelle Obama was on the stage with Kamala Harris, and she said to take our lives seriously, and she spoke up on things that we don't like to talk about. She spoke to men about abortion. She spoke she spoke for me. And I think that there was at a point in time when the way she spoke so down to earth and pulling it together and speaking for Black women and women in general, that inspired me. And I have that speech, I downloaded it. And after November came, I looked at it and, you know, there's work still to be done. And like all of you, I see there were others who heard that and who said, and they're doing that work. And I think that sometimes you need to hear that. Not only hear the words, but then see the action. And we've got people who are out there who are doing it, who's saying that take our lives seriously, giving people potatoes and ramen, who aren't just like it wasn't just for the moment to be out there on stage, so that we remember that to take our lives seriously.
I love everything everybody is saying because, like Ariel said, it's the what I'm loving about what I'm seeing is the courage I'm seeing from some of the people who are just stepping up in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our school systems, in our in our lives that you just see that are just doing courageous things that we should be doing. I feel like it should be things that we should already be doing. And now we're just courageous enough to go, you know what? We're doing this regardless, and we're gonna go ahead and give out these potatoes. We giving out canned goods,
Mm-hmm.
and we giving out apples. We're gonna give out things that are gonna benefit society versus the norm, and that's a courageous thing for society and our communities to do as a whole, to be able to benefit. And if we come together and be more courageous as a country, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I agree, because I mean, I think the thing to always keep in mind is that to not just sit back and let things happen is leadership, right? To look at how things are and think that they need to be different is, and do something about it. That's what leadership is, right? Like that's what leadership looks like, is
Mm-hmm.
that when you're like, I I can't unsee it, so I need to undo it, you know? Um so I love that. Absolutely. All right. And then okay. So I have a question for Miss Michelle. What small oh actually no, I want to change it. How has your definition of bravery changed as like lived your life?
As I've grown, I think that
Mm-hmm.
when it was younger, it was like, you're not gonna mess with me. I'm gonna stand up for myself. Ain't nobody gonna mess with me. Being ready to feel that, bravery was like standing up for myself and not letting anybody walk over me and make sure that they knew I was there. To where now I think that bravery is not only to be that, but also in being that, making space for others, making space like, no, you're not gonna mess with Lee area or Kanisha, because they're part of my tribe, okay? And so that's where I think where bravery went from being about me to
Mm-hmm.
being about my tribe, my community, and to stand up for them. And I think that came over time. But you start out, hey, nobody gonna mess with me, But then it's like, okay, but if they don't mess with you, is it okay if they beat up this person? No. So that's how I think that bravery has evolved for me.
It's
I
funny that
like
you
that.
say that, because for me it was the opposite. Like I had no problem standing up for other people, and I needed people to point out to me, like, hey, you know how like you always got my back. I'm gonna hold up the mirror and show you you're not doing for yourself what you would do for anyone else.
Mhm.
Um, so
Ariel, I'm about to say Ariel, if that ain't me in a nutshell, when I was young, oh, I will stand up for everybody else. I wish you would talk about my sister, my cousin, my brother, or anybody else. I couldn't stand it. But when it came to me, I was bullied. I was talked about. You know what I mean? Like I was the one that was being like abused in certain ways. In school by boys and talked to any kind of way. Granted, I always had mouth, but I was the one that would put up with it way longer before I would if you would bother anybody else.
Hmm. Yeah, that
Same.
was me. I mean, and it was really like, you know what, actually somebody gave me, they were like, pretend it's someone else. Like literally just pretend it's not you. Like pretend they said that those things that God said to you, these things you're about to write off, pretend they said them to your bestie or to
Mm-hmm.
your cousin, your sibling, your mom, your child. How are you now responding? And if it's different, it should be different. So,
Yeah, I agree. I still have that issue today, though. Like, I still take up for other people more than I take up for myself.
oh,
Um,
yeah, we're all works in progress, I think.
I, I mean, I don't, I will not. I mean, so I was the kid, like, I was such an empathic child that, you're on a school bus and you see kids like making fun of the way somebody dresses or somebody that has a special needs and they're like, haha, look at them. They're funny looking. They walk funny, they whatever. I remember getting into so many fist fights. Like when I went into foster care, they were like, look, you came with banker's boxes full of files just for fighting. And I was like, but it wasn't my fault. And it wasn't. It was never my fault. Somebody was being mean to somebody, and I had to. I asked them politely to stop, and when they didn't, I showed them how to stop. So it was, one of those things. So yeah, but I couldn't do it for myself, and today I still couldn't do it for myself. But yeah, I get it. I think it's yeah,
Well, I think you also surround yourself with people who are like rabidly gonna stick up for you. So
yeah,
so that helps to
it
to
does.
keep the people with you. Like me and my bestie used to do this also. Like we would be in places and like, like it for her, well, for both of us, but for her it was her family who would just like, just walk right over, take advantage, and so just having to be there and be like, oh well, you're gonna pay her, like it will be her siblings, like y'all are gonna chip in on that, right? Like y'all are not expecting my girl to come out of her pocket for the whole thing. That would be crazy. Like I would try to diffuse the situation with humor, but for real though, like I'm gonna need you guys to step up. And so I think having the right circle too helps, because I'll be honest with you, if you're surrounded by people you don't want to go to bat for, like maybe they're not your people too.
Yeah.
um All right, Lee, we're coming back to you.
Nope.
So I want to ask you a question. So when we're talking about like like courage and all of that stuff, how do you think that we create circles where like feedback and truth, like when we're trying to have like conversations, like if we're trying to call people in, where they're safe and but still honest?
Hmm. Um, I think you create these spaces with intention. You kind of have to. So um, it has to be rooted in your fundamental foundation, which, like for me, it's love. Not ego. I am not an egotistical person. I don't know. I'm not really good at patting my own back or tooting my own horn. I do toot those horns that are in my circle, though. I am your biggest freaking cheerleader when you need one. So, um, I think with that intention, if you build your circle with a goal, so like a goal of like growth, um, what is that new trend that's like, don't judge people or whatever it
Oh,
is?
we
It's
listen and we don't judge.
we
Mm-hmm.
listen and we don't judge. Yeah. So, you build it with that we will listen to each other without judging. I'm not really good at it. I have no poker face. Um, but you build it without guilt. Like you don't want to guilt the people in your circle. Everybody messes up. Everybody's trying. If they're not trying, you shouldn't have them in your circle. Um, I think uh, it's an intention to have conversations, even if they're hard. I mean, we all say, "I want you to tell me if I look bad." Don't. I'm always getting on to people around me because I will look in the mirror as soon as I'm going to leave the house and going, "You were going to let me leave the house with my hair looking like that. I can't believe you were going to let me leave the house looking like that." And they're like, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. And I'm like, I look like Einstein just stuck his finger in a light socket and it came out very badly. Um, I think that if you build that circle that you really want, you take the feedback as love and not as intentional hurt too. So being able to hear, Lee, you need to go change that shirt, or what did you do to your hair, or oh my God, girl, did you brush your teeth this morning? Those kinds of things that would normally like hit differently in different circles don't hit differently in the circles that you're surrounding yourself, because you're surrounding yourself with people who are compassionate about you, who love you, who grow with you, who don't make you feel guilty for being different. Um, being able to admit right and wrongs, feeling safe to be truthful about things. Vulnerability disarms defensiveness, right? So I'm not having to be defensive in these circles because I'm surrounding myself with people who don't make me feel like I have to defend why I'm having a bad day, or why I didn't feel like getting out of bed today, or if I don't feel good. Um, you know, Being able to be held accountable for your actions too, that kind of um, safety too. So, yeah, I mean, safe circles, I think that a safe circle doesn't avoid truths and don't take the truths as hurtful. Like, your circle should not be hurtfully trying to give you truths. I think that they're about learning about each other, holding each other accountable through love, and which and not judgment, right? That love without judgment. Yeah, that's my safe circle, and it's
Did
very small. It's a
I
very,
don't know.
very,
You're reminding
With
me.
it.
very small circle.
Mm-hmm.
You reminded me of a conversation I had with my oldest son, and he was talking about feeling grown up, right? And like waiting for this moment of that. And I was talking about like there's not any difference between me, the teenager who was like me, the 18-year-old, and me, the 42-year-old, except for now I ask for help when I need it and I admit when I've made mistakes. Like that's really kind of like the only thing is that I'm able now to take like better accountability for my actions and to acknowledge and understand. And I don't mean like think it, but like understand truly. You don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. And ask for help. So ask for help when you need it. Ask for knowledge that you don't have. You know, be a learner. But like, I mean, and for him, he was horrified by the idea that there is no magic moment where you feel like a grown up and it's like it happens for you, like poof, you're it. But I feel like that's what you're talking about, right? It's like it's that maturity to understand that people are not trying to like do high school shit and like be mean girling you. And I feel like that does apply very kind of specifically to women. Men relate to each other differently, but like where compliments and comments might not always be coming from a place of integrity or kindness or compassion, but really trying to break you down so that you're smaller or less than other people. um I don't, not just women do that, but I do think that that is a concern sometimes amongst groups of women. But um but yeah, I think that's kind of a maturity thing though, isn't it? Like, does anybody else want to weigh in on that?
Well, I like what Lee said is like her circle is small. And I will tell you, my circle is small. Now, in the orbit around my circle, it might be big, but my circle is small. And my circle can call and check me on things as I can check them. They'll tell me about something, we can be honest and open. We can laugh, we can cry, we can be stupid and silly, where with each other, because this is my circle, we're close and it's very diverse intentionally because there's something that we all have together that crosses there's all kinds of boundaries, and but this is a close knit circle, and you don't need a big circle. And to accept that some people are just like in the, it's like you're the solar system, and they're just like in your orbit, and that's okay. And that's okay. But your circle, my circle is small, it's tight, and it's strong.
Same.
All right. Well, I have a question for you, Miss Michelle, and it leads me. It's just a perfect segue. That's why I'm jumping right now. So, have you ever lost a friendship over like accountability, either yours or theirs? Um, like,
Yes.
or and what did it teach you, like in that moment? From I guess either having to accept accountability or to keep someone accountable.
Um, I think that there's certain things that are important and that and it's not even so much about judgment and caring about things, and someone who they took a very harsh stand. I understand they were going through things, but they said some things, and not to me, but just in general, they started to doing it, which sort of said to me is like there's a part of my core values that didn't they weren't resonating with. And after a certain point, it was like, I can't run with you. We can't hang with you. I have friends of all different persuasions, and I recognized that they were transphobic.
Mm.
And hey, it wasn't like, oh, I don't understand or I want to learn more about it. They were transphobic. Bye.
Facts.
Ironically, that's
That's
been
it.
one for me too. Actually, that's one, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that about you. That's super weird. But you're so open about other things. Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
I
bye.
think it's
Bye
a
is
big
right.
thing, right? That like if you don't know or you don't have someone in your circle, you can say I'm an ally to LGBTQ people, but really what you're saying is you're an ally to LG. Sometimes B, probably not T, and we don't know what the Q's for, so we're going to ignore them, right? But we're the umbrella. We're all, and I think that that's a thing. Um, yeah, I'm with Miss Michelle. I think that you see either you're a person that sees an injustice and you say something about it, or you're not. And I don't want to surround myself or be or even have that orbit that Miss Michelle's talking about.
Mhm.
I don't want
Mhm.
them in my orbit either. Kind
Mhm.
of go to another galaxy. Leave mine alone.
There you go. Just go. Just go.
All right. Well, okay. Kanisha, what is one practice that has helped you build honesty into your relationships? Oh, if you're talking, you're muted. I can hear you.
We can't hear you.
There we go. I tried to hit the M. It said hit M for unmute and it didn't work. Um, what was my question? Sorry.
So it's okay. What's one practice that helps you build honesty into your relationships?
My self-worth. Um, I cannot if I can't be honest with myself, and how am I gonna be honest with anybody else in my life? Like I can't be fake to save my life. So me having honesty within myself builds the ability and the encouragement and the vulnerability to be honest with someone else. And I can't lie to save my life anyway. So, because I can't keep up with a lie. So,
Mhm.
if the sky is blue, it's blue. I ain't got time to be trying to figure out what I said yesterday or 2 seconds ago because I'm going to mess it up. So, being honest is just who I am as a person. And I feel like for me, building certain relationships, some people don't like honesty, to be real. Um, because when you're honest, it makes them think about themselves. And some people don't like that. Some people don't know how to take it because they're used to people kissing their behinds or doing what they say, or like Lee said, they just let people just walk out the house looking any kind of way, and you like, dang, you ain't gonna tell me how I look. Like, I got something on my nose, dang, I got a whole white piece of tissue in my nose. You ain't gonna tell me? You got me walking around 2 hours. You looking at me, and I just got this piece right here. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing. I mean, like that, but be honest. But then sometimes you got people who, when you're honest with them, and they're like, oh, you're rude. I'm rude how? Or you just don't like what I said? Like sometimes I've realized my honesty with relationships people don't like, and those people aren't for me. If I can't be honest with a relationship, in any type of relationship, we don't. I mean, I'm cool. We cordial. I can work with you, but I please don't ask me my opinion because I'm gonna tell you. And if you don't like it, that's not my fault. You shouldn't have asked me. But I got to be real with myself first in order for me to be honest with everybody else.
I agree. That one's me. I try to give people a warning of like, hey, I'm like the red pen friend. I'm the really honest friend. Like, don't ask me if you look good in that. If you don't, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you why you don't look good in it, and you're gonna be mad at me. But I do think that honesty and rudeness can walk a fine line. Of like, when we're delivering news like that with compassion. Hey, ah, um, that's not your
Yeah.
color. That's not your fit. Um, maybe those don't go together. Have we thought about wearing that a size up, a size down? Like that's not for you. But
One
um
of my main things when it comes to people when they ask me, my first thing is, "Are you comfortable?" Like, are you comfortable? And if they go, yeah, I'm like, all right, we'll rock with it. You know what I mean? Like, rock with it. But if you want to ask me, if you go, hey, does this look good on me? Do you feel comfortable? If you feel comfortable, don't ask me. But then if you want to keep asking me, well, you know what I mean? It might be a little tight right here if you really want my personal opinion. You know what I mean? Maybe you can pull this up real quick, or, you know what I mean? How do you feel this should look? Like, what are you asking me? That's another thing when it comes to clothing. How do you like? Are you asking me? Are you showing too much cleavage, too much thigh? Like, is this too tight, too big? If you just ask me how you look, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I think you look fine in whatever you are because I'm a firm believer in loving yourself and forgetting what everybody else has to say. But if you're asking me a specific question, nah, don't ask me if you don't want to know.
But you know what? I think that that's a thing too about being honest with yourself. And if you're honest with yourself, and you like I said, lies too hard to keep it. But if you're honest and that honest comes into consistency, so I would know now. First thing, if I go to Kanisha, first thing she's gonna ask me, well, are you comfortable in it? And which is something I need to be honest about with myself. But then I know that if she gives me opinion, I know where she's coming from. And so and then people know you because if I've talked to Lee and someone came and told me, well, Lee said such and such, I know Lee. And Lee says who and what she is and what she's about. And something won't ring true. So I think that honesty with yourself and who you are, it helps other people have relationships because I can go to Lee, I can go to, I know that's what it is. It's based in what you believe. And you ain't gonna tell me, oh girl, you look great. You'll say, are you comfortable in it? And that would give me a minute to think, am I? Okay, and then I'll go, well, actually it feels a little tight across here. And you'll say, well, if you're asking me about that, but because
Mhm.
she told me how she's going to respond to things. So I think that is really important.
Agreed. I am, though, that friend. So, first of all, we have to remember my friends, the first thing I tell them is don't ask me if you don't want to know. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
That's,
Mhm.
because I'm not trying to be mean and it's going to come from a place of love. There are certain colors I just don't like. Just don't like the colors. I don't care what they're on, in, around. So, you might come to me wearing this nice blue suit that you got and go, what do you think about this? And I'm going to go, I don't like it because I don't like blue. So, day, or if you're wearing blue, don't ask Lee because Lee doesn't like blue. So Lee's going to tell you she doesn't like the outfit. I mean, it's a personal preference, right? I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't like that
Mm-hmm.
color. It's just not my thing. Um, I think everything orange is absolutely gorgeous, and some people think it's the most hideous thing. So I go with that. But I think my hardest part is when people have ugly babies. I know. I know. See, Ariel, I knew Ariel was going to do it, but she knows this about me. You know how people have
We
really
don't even
ugly
agree
babies?
that they're
Not all
ugly.
babies.
Like I'm like that is a perfectly fine looking baby.
People got ugly babies, and everybody is like, "Oh my god, your baby's so beautiful. Oh my god, your baby's so cute." And I'm going, "What? No."
No, you say, "Oh my God, it looks just like the daddy."
I
I I walk away. I walk away. I have no poker face. I am in the background going,
Lee.
It's bad.
Like
It is
I
bad,
remember
"Look,
Carissa.
you
I
tied
No,
see
Kitty out here talking about people's big
around that
waterhead
baby's
babies is
neck
not
and
okay.
and the
see
dog to come over and love it."
I think I'm one of those people. I love children. I love babies. All babies are cute to me, and just give them here. Now, when I was younger, I remember people calling them all now babies.
What?
Oh no.
Yes, they would call them all now babies. It would just be all now. I was like, really, y'all? Like,
Yeah. Pets.
see, Lee knew what I was talking about. Ariel said, huh? Lee over here goes, oh, now she.
Oh now
That's
let's
a shame.
yeah. God bless its heart.
Okay. Well, so that we don't go out on this note, I'm gonna ask one more question to the group, and then we can like wrap it up for tonight. But whoever wants to take it, and I'll, I'm gonna call you out if I need to. But how do visibility, courage, and accountability entwine for you? Intertwine. Like, how are they connected for you?
Visibility, courage, and what?
Accountability.
Accountability. Visibility, courage, and accountability. How does it all intertwine? I feel like it's all intertwines to make you who you are as a person. So the visibility would be people seeing you. Your courage would be the vulnerability of you getting out there for the people to see you in who you are, and taking accountability for the things that you do and how you view those things in your own personal life for who you are as a person. I feel like it all intertwines together, but you just got to be real about it, if that makes sense. You got to be real about all three of those things. You got to be real and take accountability for the things that you do, because your visibility, if it also depends on if you want visibility, if you choose courage, and if you're open to take being accountable for the things that you do. If you're not open to being accountable, if you don't have the courage, and you don't necessarily have to have the visibility, because everybody doesn't need to be seen, but what sometimes visibility is what people see, and what you don't see sometimes gives people their own perception. If you don't care about that, that's fine. I mean, I don't have to, but I do realize that I am very visible. So for me, it all intertwines in a good thing, because I am a social media person. I do hold myself accountable, and I am very courageous. I'm one of the most courageous people that I've ever met. Um, it all intertwines in my life to make me the best person that I can be, because with those things, they help embody who I am. They show other people who I am as a person. That real raw authentic chick is that boots on the ground, the in the community, the dealing with the children, the fighting for the good, fighting for the good of the people, the loving on the people, just showing everybody that love is okay. We don't got to be rude. It all intertwines for me, because it's just all in love, and depending on how you use it, you can intertwine that all in love, and it's me. And I think it's a good thing in a sense for those who want to use it in a good thing, and some of those people who want to sit back, you still gonna have to take accountability, and you're gonna have to learn courage so you can take that accountability. You need all of it to work together.
Okay.
Agreed.
I love that.
I think accountability is an act of love, because you're holding yourself accountable, you're holding the
Mm-hmm.
people around you accountable,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that accountability, because so many people don't take responsibility for their actions, for their words, for what they're doing. And that accountability, that's really love for me. That you can say, "Oh my God, Lee, I know we just got into a fight. I was feeling anxious. I came at you hard. I'm really sorry. I'm going to work on this in therapy. I'm taking accountability for it. Please bring it to my attention if I seem to be doing, the same bad habits." That accountability, man, that's so much love for me. I really do feel I've lived with so many people in my life in my childhood, that always blamed me for everything and took no accountability for their actions. And I think that surrounding myself with these people that I surround myself now with, that are always holding themselves and me accountable, I think it's absolute pure love.
I think that, the visibility, as you walk through life, you're visible. I mean, and you have to think about that. Um, and so some things that you do, it's more courageous. It's like, how am I going to show up in the world? And I think that sort of leads into accountability, because how I'm going to show up in the world and to be courageous enough to stand for what I believe in and to do it, to speak up and do and be that. A lot of that goes up into accountability. Now, sometimes as you are visible and if you're walking your truth, you're living your accountability, and you don't know who it's going to impact. And you can't go out and go, well, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to do this for that. And I always have a story, you know what I mean? So this is one of the ones that really, really, which kind of, I believe that there are things I'm supposed to say and do, and that there are stages and platforms that I'm supposed to stand up on and be that person, as a Black queer woman, I have to be there. So, and I've done a lot. And often I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it does. But at one point in time, I was going, then he was Vice President Biden was in Michigan. And because of some of the things I did, I could go in the back and see him. And so, I'm waiting in line to go. And a young guy came up to me and he said, "You probably don't even know I was in the room." He said, "But I was a volunteer at a dinner and you stood up." And I was like, and he said, "And you could have counted us on one hand." He said, "But you said what you needed to say." And that day, he said, it made him realize that he didn't have to be in a closet. He could do whatever he wanted to do. And he said, "And look at me now. I'm taking care of, I'm the, Secret Service with the Vice President." And you know what? I didn't mean to do anything. I didn't go in with that idea that I'm going to go in and I'm going to help someone stand up and be loud and proud. But I knew that I had to go in there and say something, and that it was important. And that's my accountability. Not just to show up and say, "Hey, give me this," because, and part of it was a fundraiser too, but not to go up there and say that, not because I was just this Black woman, but I just went up there and I was me. And hey, my legs were shaking when I went up there and did it, but I was honest with myself about what I did. And I knew that I had a responsibility to do something to speak up for our rights, not knowing that it just in walking in my truth, it had impacted someone who years later, and no, it was a dark room. I hadn't seen him. I hadn't seen him and couldn't have paid. And I thought that I was going to get carted away when the guy came over to talk to me, But if you walk in your truth, you're courageous. You're visible, even if all it is you walk into the mailbox and back, but you're visible and someone sees you out there. They might know, have seen you talk about your illness, and they go, "There she is out there, and look at her legs. Shoot, I could do that." You are accountable for yourself and how you're living. And someone, as you're visible and you're out there and you're courageous enough to get up each and every day and go out there, you don't know who you might change. And that's part of your accountability. Your accountability to yourself, to this life each of us has been given, and what we're supposed to do.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that story. And thank everybody here on the panel for like all of these words, this about integrity, leadership, and legacy. Because I do think that's what you're talking about is how sometimes just existing, being a good person, standing like, you know, being a leader, like without trying to make direct impact, you do. And I think, you know, I think I live a lot of I do a lot of work around what is our impact versus our intention, and by like, you know, and how can we try to kind of target one with the other. Like, you know, we want to be making the impact we intend to, and trying to live your life in ways that do that. But so thank you everybody for, you know, making this such a fun first time podcast host for me, and such a great conversation. I feel like, you know, everybody, you know, was chatting, chiming in. I love it. Um, I just want to say, you know, make sure that y'all are keeping your kettles full, um, as we, you know, as the world continues to change. And thank you all for the courage and visibility that you do have right now in the community, because you're right, you don't understand who and how it might have impacts and ripples going forward. So thank you for being here tonight and for a great conversation. And I'm happy to wrap it up. So.
Well, without any judgment, I think we can say you've done good for your first podcast, Hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get notes like on the back end, but that's fine. Feel free to be honest. I'm happy to accept red pen. You know, you can be honest with me too. So
To be honest, since we're going to be real, I think that Ariel did an amazing job. I think she doesn't even realize how good of a job she did as a first time. I wouldn't have thought it was your first time. I think you navigated all of us very well. I think your questions were amazing. I think you engaged with us all. And I think that you did an awesome job for your first time doing like hosting a podcast. I think you did amazing. I'm
thank
ready
you.
to see what your next one is. Can we just not have hard questions? You and Miss Michelle. Lee, can we
I want
boycott
to
the
know. No, you
questions?
don't even know. I want to like dive in. Like my personality is, I want to know all the things. I want to know how you think about things, and so that like I'm interested. I'm interested in how people think about things and how they approach, and I feel like I learn from other people all the time, like, and y'all are so different from me in ways that I love, and love getting to know about you guys. So yeah, it's hard for me not to ask the hard questions, because like I really want to, I want to deep dive into who you all are, and I want y'all to be thinking hard about how would I answer this, how would I explain this or express this to somebody, you know. And I want to
Well,
know all the good stories.
So
I
now,
think that's what's really good about what I thought. I think that it is good because you allowed us to grow and to talk about things and expand on things and go
Mhm.
back and forth amongst each other. And I thought it was really good. I liked your questions. I
Mhm.
really liked your questions. I'm
So
like that too.
because
I want to
you're
go
not
in and
afraid of a
know,
hard question. Me and you,
I bet you
not afraid
y'all
of a
would.
hard
Me and
question.
Lee over here like,
I'm like, why are y'all trying to make me cry all the time?
yeah,
I
see,
will be known as the crybaby of the bunch. It's
it's,
like
yeah.
that little butch ass marshmallow crying in every podcast.
The butch
Yeah.
munch. It's not that I don't love you and Miss Michelle's questions. Y'all just a little y'all. I be like, dang, I ain't say I want to go that deep right yet. Dang, like
I
man, like
want
I ain't
dinner
want to talk
first.
about that. Like, can we get cookies first? It's like,
Yeah, I need
You know
yeah.
what? I got you. How about, I know we were just talking about getting all together, so I got you on some cookies when I see you in person. When we
gluten free and vegan.
gluten free and vegan. Yep, I
Gluten-free.
Yeah,
got you. Does it
I'm
have
gonna
to be
be.
a cookie? Can it be like a lemon bar or something? Because I feel
Yeah,
like there's
I could do
lots.
like a listen, I love baked goods. I just can't have good ones no more. They all taste like cardboard. You know
No,
what I
I don't
mean?
play
Like,
games. My
well, you
brothers
don't
be
play
making.
games? Okay, so
No,
they're
my
gonna be
brother is
nice
a
and
vegan,
soft.
and so my soul food, because I don't just try to substitute out like every stupid ingredient. Like I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, so what cultures make a thing that is like vegan,
Right.
and
Okay.
how can we find some dessert, some
Well,
good
can I
stuff?
get a brownie?
I could probably, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
can I get walnuts in it? You know, like, can I get nuts? You know, like I ain't
You can
had a.
get some. I mean, really, how else are you gonna like? It's probably gonna. We're probably gonna end up having to do some cashew cream in there anyway. So
I
might
mean,
as
that's
well.
like, yeah, that's fine. So I can see us now at the award thing, just if we all decide to go, because I know I'm gonna be there. But I'm gonna be the one eating the brownie, like sitting at the table. Where you get brownies from? Mind your business. Mind your business. My
We're
purse.
gonna be
I
at the
can't
table
say that it
popping
would be.
open Tupperware, and
Yeah,
people are gonna be
we're gonna
like,
be at the table
"Are
popping
those
tip over here. You want a brownie? You want a brownie?
are those special
They
brownies?
will not be special brownies if I'm
They
making
are special to us. Go
Yeah,
about your business."
exactly. They special to me. No, you can't have a brownie. Somebody want one. No, you can't. They're mine. I need all of
That's
them, and I'm driving
hilarious.
back to Salisbury with them. I should say I'm driving right back to my area with my
Do we
brownies.
know who's the next host?
Yeah, who's the next host? Who was first?
Meg.
Um,
Was it
Me.
you, Lee?
I thought it was
It
Peach.
was.
It
No, it was
was
Peach.
Peach.
Peach. I
Oh
voted
It was
man,
Peach.
Peach, and Peach is typing.
no, it wasn't Peach. Was it Peach or was
Yep,
it? It
it's
was Smack.
Peach.
It was Smack first.
It was Smack. Smack
it
was
was
first.
Smack.
Smack was first.
So Peach just said in the chat that she guesses it's her. So Peach
Peach
will
is
be
the
the next
next.
host.
You know what?
Yay!
Let's not play. Peach asked them hard questions too.
I know.
Well, that's
Lee,
okay.
we boycotting.
No, you won't.
No, we're Queen Cotton. We're Queen
Queen
And,
Cotton.
and we all know not to wear blue ever.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not wearing
I mean, and I
blue.
thought I
I'm
was
not
so
wearing.
cute
Well,
one
I'm gonna wear
day.
blue. I just won't ask Lee if I look good.
Don't, because you hurt my feelings.
I mean,
I
I
thought
guess.
I looked so good.
I
And
mean,
I
you
was
know what?
like,
Maybe
"Oh,
you
what do
can
you
find
think?"
an
And she
ugly
was like,
baby to
"Eh."
hold in your arms. Hey, how do I look?
Baby, get you an ugly baby.
She was like, "Eh." I mean, blue's not my favorite. I was like, "Okay, what does that got to do? Do I look good?"
Do I look good or not? Dang.
I'm not sure. I mean, yeah,
That was exactly how you
She
said
said,
it too.
"Sure." I mean,
yeah. I mean,
Lee said,
uh,
"Yeah, I guess
look,
so."
look, don't play. So I have 8 grandbabies, and I have a foster child, and one of my foster children. I have lots of foster children, but one of my foster children, they were an ugly baby. I mean, they just really
Hi, Lee.
ugly,
So me,
ugly
you and the
baby.
ugly baby thing.
And
Big
I,
face.
so he's like got his little book out, and he's like, "Look at me when I was, a baby." And I'm like, "Yeah, I see you." And he's like, "Wasn't I cute?" And I'm like, "Is today the day you want me to start lying to you? Because I can."
Why though?
And I was like, "No, you're an ugly baby." He goes, "I was an ugly baby." I'm like, "But you're so cute now. Thank God you grew out of them big old ears. What was
Wow.
up with that nose? I don't understand what was going on,
See,
but you're
it's me.
so cute now."
I feel like you're on a fine line between rudeness and honesty.
I just didn't know what to say. I didn't want to lie to him. So it was just like, is today the day I start lying to you? Just tell me. I got you. If you,
Mhm.
yes, you're beautiful. Absolutely
Mhm.
beautiful, baby. No,
Mhm.
bro, you were ugly. I'm
Mhm.
Well,
sorry.
I
We're
think,
gonna
But
work.
now,
Mm.
and hopefully, and Peach can chime in if I'm wrong. But I think that we are. Are we just having our? Are we kind of like gonna be? Next Monday is another podcast because we missed last week, and so we just kind of like had like an extra one this week.
I'd say
Or
so. I'd say so to
or
keep
we
us on
haven't.
track.
Okay.
Where she typing? So let's see.
Miss Michelle put off something today for something else.
Well,
Do we
because
really?
I do a podcast. I do a podcast, and I'm interviewing throughout the week. So I put off what I was going to do today for that. So I sort of have a schedule of, okay, we were supposed to do last week. So then this week was my open week to like build up mine, and then next week I would have for you. But now I'm sort of off. So I've already sent out. So if you decide what we're going to do, because so I can hopefully rearrange if I have, do I have somebody?
I
'Cause-
agree to say keep it for next week to keep us on schedule, so that way we can all keep our normal schedule since we all have busy lives.
Okay. So I think
That's
we're
what I
planning
would
on
say.
being back for next week. So
Well, next week we're going to do it.
fine
That's
by
what
me.
I'll
I'm
say.
You see, you see, I'm right now. Okay.
Look,
Not
I'm about to look at my calendar, make sure it's in there.
well. What I have to do. Well, I record in advance, so I'd have to look and see. But no, okay. I know now. I'm waiting for some responses, and I'll just go from there. Okay.
all right.
But
Sounds
then
good.
we have to go back on our schedule.
Yes. So we'll have next week, and then we'll have off the week after. So we'll be back on. Sounds like a plan. All right, we're all set. So I will see you ladies next Monday for our regularly scheduled programming.
Where Peach is our moderator.
Yes, and Peach is our moderator. I don't know if there's going to be an opportunity for them to like kind of break down this, but they have it for women. I'm looking forward to hanging with you ladies again. You know, you ain't got to go home, and I don't got to go home, but I am going to go. So have a great night
And I'm
a
home.
great rest of your week, and I will see you next Monday.
See y'all. Bye.
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 Okay.